aspect of the case to prove this prosecution? Anything to do with the fact that it's been 13 years since this incident?
Well, I think that certainly played a role, but the alleged victim had some problems with her testimony. As I understand it, and as reported to me, she apparently told the police she had not had contact with him after the alleged incident, and they found 72 phone calls. They also found evidence that she apparently had been in contact with him, went back to see him, went to a concert. If these things are true and she made misstatements to the police, that could have affected a lot of jurors in terms of her credibility. But also, there's no forensic evidence that was introduced tying Mr. Cosby into anything. And while they read transcripts from his deposition, which can arguably be interpreted as damaging, my understanding is that those transcripts, he also said that everything was consensual. So I think the prosecutors thought that they brought in the testimony of other alleged victims, that it would win the day, and the judge limited them to just one.
Yeah,
I think that's where they miscalculated.
Yeah, I made the mistake of saying 6 hours. I mean, even more incredulously, there's only 6 minutes of testimony there for the defense. So, I mean, to that point as well, Wendy, I do want to play for you what a spokeswoman for Camille Cosby has recently told reporters in a prepared statement just about an hour or so ago. Here it is.
How do I describe the district attorney? Heinously and exploitively ambitious. How do I describe the judge? Overtly arrogant and collaborating with the district attorney. How do I describe the counsels for the accusers? Totally unethical. How do I describe many, but not all, general media? Blatantly vicious entities that continually disseminated intentional omissions of truth for the primary purpose of greedily selling sensationalism at the expense of a human life. Historically, people have challenged injustices. I am grateful to any of the jurors who tenaciously fought to review the evidence, which is the rightful way to make a sound decision. Ultimately, that is a manifestation of justice based on facts, not lies. As a very special friend once stated, truth can be subdued but not destroyed.
When you categorize this reaction and what you make of her saying that the prosecutor and the judge were in cahoots, that they were trying to convict her husband,
I'm almost speechless because, I mean, the guy won a case after allegations of, I think, 60 women have come forward and described him as a sexual predator. The thing you do after you win a case like this, and it is a win to have a hung jury, it's as good as an acquittal, at least for now, you come out and you are contrite, you shut up, you go home, you have a dinner party and you celebrate how lucky you are that the law is as bad as it is in Pennsylvania. You don't condemn the judge when you win. You don't slam the prosecutor when you win. And I think part of the problem is now this kind of rhetoric is going to increase the chances that the prosecutor is not only going to bring charges again, but going to try really hard to win next time. Here's the problem I see, Alex. The law, this case was not about Andrea's credibility. She was perfectly credible. And for the most part, Cosby and she agreed about what happened. So it wasn't that she made mistakes or didn't tell the truth about contact. The only issue here was consent. And under Pennsylvania law, which is the worst in the nation, it's really hard to win these cases for a couple of reasons. Number one, to win a drugging charge, you have to show that the victim was drugged without her knowledge. In most states, you don't have to show without her knowledge. It's enough that a victim becomes incapacitated so that she can't make a voluntary decision about having sex. That's a terrible thing about Pennsylvania law, and lawmakers there should be ashamed of themselves and they should fix the law tomorrow. One of the other charges on incapacitation requires that the victim be either asleep or unconscious. Are you kidding me? How does an asleep or unconscious woman testify about what happened to her body? I mean, that's a no-brainer to rip that one out of the books. She may well have been raped by him while unconscious, but there was no evidence because she was unconscious. So these are really big problems with the law in Pennsylvania, and if I were in charge of all the victims, if I could give them any advice, I'd say don't go back to court in Pennsylvania. Go to one of the other jurisdictions, Michigan, New Jersey. Cases can still be brought there because either the statute of limitations hasn't run or the clock stopped ticking because he hasn't been a regular resident there. And there's plenty of time left, and those laws in those jurisdictions are much better for victims. Forget Pennsylvania. There will never be a victory against Bill Cosby in Pennsylvania ever because of the law, not the victim's credibility, the law.
So, Wendy, will they try to move this trial? Is there a means to do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's a political question, right? So women now should be rising up. They should be working together across racial lines, across ethnic lines, across all lines. Women and people who care about violence against women should be rising up, working together, protesting in those other jurisdictions like New Jersey, like Michigan, demanding that the prosecutors there bring charges. And remember, the prosecutor in Pennsylvania lost his job because he didn't bring charges back in 2005. And the new prosecutor who did bring charges won because he promised justice for the victims. That's a wonderful thing to run on, the platforms of justice for victims. That's a politically resonant statement to make these days. Go to those other jurisdictions. Tell those prosecutors that if they want to keep their jobs, they've got to bring charges and say things like we heard from Paul Ryan the other day when the poor congressman was shot. A sexual assault against one woman is a sexual assault against all women. That's the message of this case. Women rising up to make clear that this is an offense against all women as a class.
Look, Wendy, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'll say, as Mr. Mesereau pointed out, very thin case in some ways because Andrea went to see him after the fact, stayed in communication with him.
So
Her mother took phone calls.
So
I mean,
I have to
that
tell
doesn't
you,
disprove rape.
She didn't tell the truth.
John, go ahead.
Wendy, I appreciate your comments, and we've been through this before, but you have to look at the facts of every case. This is a case where she, in fact, did have a continual relationship with him. She did make statements that were contradictory. She did do things that any juror might say, can we really believe her? And you can go to any number of jurisdictions all you want. At the end of the day, it's the facts of those individual cases that are important. And that's the trouble. That's the trouble because credibility becomes, in this particular case,
Cosby admitted drugging her, John. Cosby admitted drugging her and raping her.
I'm not defending Bill Cosby. I'm only saying that the evidence that was presented in this case raised real questions about reasonable doubt. And that's what you got to do with every case.
The law does.
That's what you said. Wendy, that's what you're saying. But that's not what the other jurors are saying.
Thomas, I want to pick up on Camille Cosby's comment accusing the judge of collaborating with the DA. The judge allowed only one other Cosby accuser to testify in that case. There were dozens of accusers for many years. That one was a Gloria Allred client. Allred cited that as an issue, saying more should have been allowed to testify. What do you think?
Well, apparently the judge also gave the prosecution a real gift. A witness came forward who said she roomed at Temple University with Ms. Costan, and she was ready to contradict some of Ms. Constan's statements, as I understand it. And apparently it was a big win for the prosecution. The defense couldn't call that witness. If that witness is credible, and if that witness gets on the stand and withstands cross-examination, the case might be over in a retrial. And remember the famous Menendez case in Los Angeles years ago. Two sons accused of murdering their parents. Very sensational case. The first jury hung, and in the retrial, the judge changed all the rulings that favored the defense. This judge could change some rulings before a retrial, and who knows who he's going to help.
So, how do they do that, John? What would he do?